Good evening. Welcome to our annual Yom Hashoah, evening of commemoration and reflection, an evening of Zachor, an evening where we reflect and we remember. We proclaim that we will never forget. Tonight, once again, we have a program that is going to celebrate the life of our beloved Buchenwald survivor, Chef Meir Rappaport. We'll hear his story. We'll hear from our teens. We're going to have a conversation. We're going to watch a very meaningful video that features beloved Chef Meir. But before we get to our program, I just want to share a few brief thoughts. On Friday, April the 7th, this Friday will be 2 weeks. Ben Ferenz, the last living Nuremberg prosecutor of the Nazis, he died at the age of 103. He tried Nazis for genocidal war crimes and was among the first outside witnesses to document the atrocities of Nazi labor and concentration camps. He died in Boynton Beach. He was born in Transylvania in 1920. He immigrated as a very young boy with his parents to New York to escape rampant anti-Semitism. After he graduated from Harvard Law School, he joined the United States Army in time to take part in the Normandy invasion during World War II. Using his legal background, he was promoted and became an investigator of Nazi war crimes against United States soldiers as part of a new war crime section of the Judge Advocate's Office. When the United States intelligence reports described soldiers encountering large groups of starving people in Nazi camps watched over by SS guards Yimach Shemam V'Zichram Ferenz, he followed up with visits, first at the Ordorf labor camp in Germany and then at the notorious Buchenwald concentration camp. At those camps and later others, he found bodies, quote, piled up like cordwood, and, quote, helpless skeletons with diarrhea, dysentery, typhus, tuberculosis, pneumonia, and other ailments, retching in their louse-ridden bunks. There's no doubt, wrote that he was indelibly traumatized by his experiences as a war crimes investigator of Nazi extermination centers. He said that he will try not to speak about the details of his experiences as long as he lives. When he was 27 years old with no previous trial experience, he became the chief prosecutor for a 1947 case in which 22 former commanders were charged with murdering over 1 million Jews. Rather than depending on witnesses, Ferenz mostly relied on official German documents to make his case. All of the defendants were convicted, and more than a dozen were sentenced to death by hanging, even though Ferenz hadn't asked the death penalty. At the beginning of April 1948, when the long legal judgment was read, I felt vindicated, he wrote. Our pleas to protect humanity by the rule of law had been upheld. The reason why this is so poignant and so meaningful, especially now, especially tonight, is that with his passing, another voice has left us. And so we gather tonight on Yom HaShoah to commemorate, to reflect, to remember the greatest modern atrocity of our people, and to likewise recognize the significance of A, our gathering, and B, our voice. What it means to stand in his place and in their place. There's so many survivors, but we now have become their voice. To know their stories, to tell their stories, to live with passion, to know what they lived for, how tragically they died. They're not just 6 million who perished in the Shoah, but the hundreds of millions of Jews, of generations of Jews not let to be born. It would tell the story of our nation, to tell the story of our people, to celebrate our past, to live in a very passionate present, a hopeful future, a day of tomorrow. We are that voice, the voice that points a flagrant finger against the rise of anti-Semitism today, It almost feels that year after year, the volume, the crescendo, the zenith of which it seems to be raising higher and higher and louder, the volume. It was just in Europe, and now here on our democratic shores of the United States, in the hallways and on the campuses of United States American universities, the clubs, for which there is, quote, free choice, that rails against Jewish values and ethics, morals, for which we stand proud and true, celebrating who it is that we are. And so tonight we gather for our very meaningful, poignant, and necessary reflection on Yom HaShoah. The Shoah, the Holocaust remembrance, is not a day that is really relegated, truthfully, responsibly, to one day. For Mayor Rappaport and every survivor, children of survivors, grandchildren of survivors, and for all of us, the Shoah is something that we think about, or ought to think about, every single day. It's what impassions our Judaism. It's what makes us take pride, take responsibility. It's what makes us know who it is we are and what it is that we are supposed to do and how, as Jews, we are supposed to live. And so tonight, as we start our program again, and hear our beloved treasure, Chef Mayor Rappaport, and I welcome Ruth and your grandchildren who are here with us. It's for those of you that are following and watching on Zoom. Once again, Mayor, we will hear your story. We will hear questions from the younger generation, from your community that loves and cherishes and really is overwhelmed by the presence of seeing you every single day to protect, to watch over you, to celebrate you, and to shower you with love. Before we have the candlelighting service, I just want to share with you what Mayor gave me, and out of the generosity of beloved friends who helped make this possible, Mayor will be passing out tonight, as you will hear as part of tonight's program. He has asked over and again, repeatedly, that for the Noshim Tzidkanios, holy women, that every single time there is Shabbos candle or Yom Tov candle lighting opportunity to light an additional candle to remember Zichron HaShoah, to remember the Shoah. There is a small memorial reflection stand that is able to be stood right next to the additional candle, like we bound and bind ourselves in the union of engagement to the Ribono Shel Olam, the words that we proclaim as we wrap our tefillin and phylacteries on our hands, with the numbers 1, 8, 4, 4, 8, 2. Those numbers that were placed to the arm of our beloved Mayor Rappaport. Those numbers that every single day are covered by the tefillin, the triumph of our people. Signed here, Mayor Yechiel Rappaport, Atishkechu es HaShoah. Shall we never ever forget the Holocaust. Everyone will take one home, and you will heed his call, and you will reflect and light, if you are so able, an extra candle to remember the victims who died, who perished. Al Kiddush Hashem. And for the survivors who live and the children of survivors, the grandchildren of survivors, who will carry on the legacy, tell your story, and tell those who perished their story. And we will continue to be the flame and the light and the burning hope of our people for the promise of a bright future, a tomorrow. At this point, we will begin with our candle lighting ceremony. First, survivors of the Shoah to light the first candle, followed by children of survivors, grandchildren of survivors, who can make your way up forward now, please, to light the memorial candles at this time. Children and grandchildren of survivors, please come forward. Everyone else is invited who would like to light the tea light candles. Please step forward, light the candles. A number of weeks ago, Ben Lutz, representing the Neshama Foundation, came to me and asked me if they would be able to spend some time here filming Meir Rappaport, hearing about his life for a documentary, a short film that they were making, and the importance of the work that they are doing in our community and well beyond to prevent cremation. It was essential to be able to hear him tell his story and to be able to share the story with the world. That particular evening at Mincha Meir, when there were camera crews that were all around, for those of you that were here, you remember that I said, it was something very, very special. It was a very large crowd for Mincha Meir, but there was a camera crew that was literally walking around. As Meir was walking around collecting the tzedakah, which he does faithfully in the morning, very early, and in the evening, very late. And as he was davening Shemona Esrei, as he was saying the Shema, the camera rather, was on him. They told everybody that was assembled that the most important message that we could learn this evening, that was then and again here tonight, is that the camera that is watching his life and documenting his life, the camera that we have every single day with our eyes to watch his life and to document his life, that is a tremendous gift, a gift that we can never take for granted. We can never fail to appreciate the gift of what it is to have Meir in our life, to be able to have him as ours, as our crown jewel in our community. And as this film was being made, I knew then, and after watching it, I now know that it is a documentary, it is a film that tells the story and shares a very important value to our community and many well beyond of the importance of what it is to cherish a memory, to live for something passionately, and to celebrate the life and the legacy of our beloved survivor, Chef Meir Rappaport. You can give your undivided attention to the screen, and after which we'll begin our program of question and answer.
My name is Meir Rappaport, and I was in several forced labor camps. I was alone. I didn't see none of my family till I was liberated and broke about people who died every day. The crematoriums were all empty. They were burning day and night from our people, our sisters, our brothers. And that's how I feel when I talk to the people. They should not continue and give the power to other nations now that they should do the same thing to us, what they do then. Because the anti-Semitism what goes now in the world, there's only one goal they have, to remove from this world. And we have to be strong and not give them the power that they should do to us the same thing. Burning. They took away, because of this we lost millions, not 6 million, just we could have been a nation of 160 million. We cannot have, and now we should not give our bodies away for burning. The neshama doesn't belong to us. The body doesn't belong to us. That belongs to Hashem. And as we perform with the body, then how we have to return the body the same way. Not burn. We didn't come from ashes. We came with our body, with our mind. The mental yid was inside of us. And that's why we have to remember not to give away. For burning, we burned already enough. And if we didn't learn from that, from this burning, then we will never learn. Remember what had happened. When I was liberated from Buchenwald, I asked myself, what should I do? I alone. I didn't have nobody to give me advice. I said, Hashem, you give me life. What shall I do? Came to me, gave me back my name. Made a very dear price for the 6 million people that we should have our own country. And that's what gave me the emunah that I am the one from the family that should be here and talk about this. That's what I have the emunah, that something over me that keeps me still alive. After all the things what I went through in life. And the Holocaust, after the Holocaust, before the Holocaust, I'm here. It's only the Avodat Hashem. The Avodat Hashem. I am here day in, day out. 5 o'clock in the morning, I'm here at the show. I'm 6 o'clock in the evening in the show. I do my duties, what I promised to Hashem, that I will do to best my ability, to my koiches, and everything to help out, to volunteer, anything I can. For Yom Hashoah, 6 billion. I don't know what they are. I plead now to all the ladies when they're going to light the candles and Shabbos, young, so anything what we have to light candles, they should put 1 candle to the side and light the candle, the Zikaron Hashoah. Let's not forget what our father did to us. It's good that you will light the candle before the Shabbos candle, before the Yom candle, light 1 candle for Hashoah, Zikaron Hashoah. It's the memory of our own sisters, brothers, children. There's a Zikaron Hashoah, 11 April 1939. They were liberated from Buchenwald. And this picture was taken maybe a few weeks later, but from Rabbi Schechter and Rabbi Marcos, what came in with the Patton's battalion to Buchenwald. And they were shocked. Patton himself was shocked. He didn't believe what they went out to the city Weimar and all surrounding and brought all the people, the Germans, that they should come see what the coffins that lay around and what they did to the people. They said they would know that they would have. Picture was taken by our chef with number partners. From all the children, especially here was 1 child, little, still, that was our chief rabbi of Israel, Rabbi Lau. They were liberated with me in Bukhara. Scary is not enough to say scary. Fighting for life is scary. To survive is scary. Day in, day out. That you know that you don't have enough food. You have to fight. If you're not, if sometimes you're not the first one to get then you are in trouble. I'm blessing for the Hashem Foundation, for everybody what is involved. And if Mevarech Otchem, Bebracha, Abraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov, Sarah, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, שיביא לכם בריאות, פרנסה, בכלכלה, באמונת השם.
Tremendous thanks to the Neshama Foundation for putting that video together. A round of applause is appropriate. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Mayor, thank you so much for doing that, the documentary, that film. And share snippets of your life. Tonight we're going to have a conversation. We just are finishing the season of Pesach, the season of asking questions and hearing answers, telling the story of our past and telling it to our children, to our grandchildren. When you're telling the story about that picture on Shavuos, which was the official service, the first service officiated by Rabbi Marcus and Rabbi Shachter, Zichronim Livracha. You mentioned that the young 8-year-old boy, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, reminds me of the number of years ago. And everybody should know that when Chef Meir Rappaport came and asked that we should have a meeting, we should talk, he had a very important and urgent request of me. And he said to me, if you remember, Mayor, he said that there's one thing that I would like you, Rabbi, to do for me. And I said, Mayor, I would go walk on the moon for you and way beyond. He said, I'd like you to bring the chief rabbi of Israel to Boca Raton so I could see him. I said, Mayor, I love you. It might be easier for me to walk on the moon than to bring the chief rabbi. But you said you wanted me to bring him. I flew to Eretz Yisrael with my family and made an appointment at the chief rabbi's office in Tel Aviv. And after some conversation, some friendly banter, I made my move. And I said, Chief Rabbi, I have a precious tachshit, a precious jewel in my community. He was in the camps with you in Buchenwald, and he would like to see you in Boca Raton, Florida. He said, maybe Mayor could come to Yerushalayim, to Tel Aviv. I said, he would like to see you in Boca Raton, Florida. And the Chief Rabbi said to me, I am not able to go to Boca Raton, Chicago, New York, Los Angeles, Boca Raton. It wasn't the same Boca Raton that exists today. And with a little bit of Yiddish and chutzpah, I put my hands on both sides of the chair that I was sitting. I said, Slicha, Chief Rabbi, I cannot leave this place until one of two things happens. Either you tell me that you're going to come, or you're going to tell me you're going to come, or you tell me that you're going to come. Or you tell me what I should say to him if you tell me you're not going to come. He looked me straight in the eye with eyes that pierced my skull, it felt like. He rung his assistant, I remember his name was Ruby. He said, the Ruby, took her to see him to Boca Raton quickly before I changed my mind. And for those of you that remember, the Chief Rabbi, Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, came into this room, on this stage. We had a videographer and a photographer. It was one of the most glorious moments to see. Not just to hear from the Chief Rabbi, but to see the Chief Rabbi. The moment that was the most glorious was to see the embrace between Mayor and the Chief Rabbi. When I was with the Chief Rabbi this summer, I reminded him of his trip, invited him to come again. Wasn't as chutzpah then as it was 20 years ago. But he remembered that visit. And of course, he remembered Chef Mayor, that visit very fondly, that embrace. It was so incredible. Tell us, Chef Mayor, the first question I'd like to ask you, as you reflected on being in Buchenwald with Rabbi Yisrael Meir Lau, did you remember him? Did you remember him as a prisoner, as a child? Tell us what that encounter was, if you can. What the encounter was. what the encounter was when you saw him, what you were feeling, why it was important for you to meet him, and when you did meet him. I know there's a picture of you two both in your house. I have a picture also likewise in my office. Why was that so important based on your memories when you were in Buchenwald with the chief rabbi of Israel?
At that time, I really know
Was young.
very young. So that that's what I was connected with them. I had some vision, but I did not know when it comes at all. I said, I will have to see him. I want to see him. And then the school said, Rabbi, he will make this all arrangements in Israel and he will. What is he brought him over here? Because I learned from this also not I met Rabbi Ibrahim, and he came to our community. He had only 35 members. Sure. But he showed to me the love, the fight for me, but what was something would happen here, and he took my side. And he fought for it. I followed up with him. Because he not only for me he's doing for the whole community here. It's not a person here in this whole show who can say about this rabbi something negative. Whatever he does is from love, and he always tells me, I love you, I love you. That gives me that somebody is loving me, that somebody is caring for me, somebody what cares what is going on in the community here. I did not experience on the shoulders. That's why I have such a connection. There's anything what I want to hear from him, whatever I have a problem or whatever I want to discuss with him, I go to him, I ask him. He guided me in a lot of things, but I took it very, very serious.
Yeah. Love you so much.
I know.
You saw him at Lau for the first time. What did you say to him? What did he say to you?
We blessed each other. We blessed each other with the blessing, and we talk about what we went through in this gift.
And he remembered you, and you remembered him.
I cannot say that remember me very specifically, because we were a lot of children there, a lot of people were there. Just the memory what we could only remember. Only what I didn't have I was not sleeping next to him, but I knew who he was. The truth that he is alive, that was his brother, Rabbi Lau's brother, that kept himself safe all the time.
Mayor, we have 4 teams that are sitting in the front row that are representing the youth department and the teens and the next generation. They prepared some questions to ask you. They want to learn from you. You have taken a tremendous and very keen interest in the youngsters. You've spoken in a number of the schools and have added significantly to their Holocaust programming. So tonight, I'd like to begin. First, I want to thank Jonah and Shlema and Suri and Nachi, first of all, for being here tonight and asking and preparing. Let me start tonight, if we can, Ms. Shlema, do you want to ask?
No,
No?
before you're going to ask me the questions, I have a question for you. That you should think about it and tell me what it means to you have emunah. That you should think what it means to you emunah. Why you're saying this word emunah? What it means love. Who you love, how you love, what means love to you. Now you can ask the question.
Okay, Shlema, take it away. You guys can think about that.
Okay, what does it mean to you to be known as a survivor of the Holocaust?
It means to me a lot that I am here a survivor, that I am the only one what's left over from my whole family, from my father's side, from my mother's side, and that Hashem gives me the source and also the strength that I should be able to go and to talk to you and to give you the message what we went through.
Do you think the Holocaust can happen again?
That's a good question. Because when I came to United States in 1968, and I saw what's going around me, and I said to my wife, Ruth, I see something very bad here. And I'm afraid that God forbid, that should not happen again. Because the spread of the anti-Semitism and the spread what goes on, that brings much shame.
How has the Holocaust affected your life afterwards? The Holocaust affected your life afterwards?
How the Holocaust affected my life. I lived this nightmare day in and day out, every night and every day. Which is impossible to get rid of it. Because I look at the pictures of my family and everything is very hard for me to forget. That's what they live with us.
Do you feel that the hate towards the Jews today compares to the time leading up to the Holocaust?
I think so. I think so. What goes on now here in the United States, and I would say not only United States, that's all over the world. They have such a hate towards Jews. Just it's unbelievable what goes on now. I am afraid God forbid God. Because if that happened here, that would be much worse than it was in Germany. And we were warned in Germany before the war broke out, save yourself. The same message I can give here. People think and save yourself.
Thank you.
Thank you, Shlema. Okay, Jonah, I know you prepared a few questions.
Okay, which camps were you in, and which one was the worst?
I was in several camps. I was in camps, forced labor. First, I was in forced labor camps, but it was not related yet to the camps, the Holocaust camps, right? Like you say. I was about 9 forced labor camps in Germany, in Poland. And then we was transferred to Blehammer, that was the #1 concentration camp. Gross was the second one, and Bochum was the third one, but I was not in Auschwitz. So Blehammer was the same thing, but like Auschwitz. The worst of all of them was Gross Rosen. That was terrible, was that?
Mayor, how old were you when you started traveling to enforced labor camp?
Gross Rosen, I was 17 and a half.
Were you able to practice any Jewish rituals while in the camps? And if so, how?
If you were going in Hegde before, or in Yeshiva, and you knew by heart that you could, for yourself, God forbid, that somebody should know that you have a book or something that was not existing. You could think for yourself. Just you could not practice nothing, you could not have this.
Sometimes we hear stories of survivor inmate prisoners who were able to somehow, find flour, make matzahs, be able to find some oil wicks to make Hanukkah candles, to be able to do something. Did you ever see any of that?
It was rabbis among us. It was rabbis there. Just they were afraid. They have all prayed for themselves. Even from his next guy that was sleeping next to him, they were afraid. If people not go in, give him up. So that's what we saw. We could not see nothing else. Only what you saw was really religious and everything, but he was, yeah.
Why did you choose to continue to be religious after the Holocaust, unlike other Jews who left Judaism?
After the Holocaust, when I came out from the Holocaust, because my family, from my mother's side and my father's side, they were very observant Jews. My grandfather, from my father's, he had this own cheder. He was teaching my my Sadie, my mother's father. He was very observant. He was a Chassid. Then I saw always with this drama, with this white capotes, with the red stockings. He was a very religious person. Just he was also a business person. He was for people and for God. That's what they grew up in this environment. And when I liberated from the book about, I asked myself what I heard it here, that what I said here, I did not know what to do with myself. Just I asked myself all the time, why I am the one who survived. Why not all of them from my family? It's only what survives my sister. I could not understand that. Just is that I see that that was the way for Hashem, that what he wants me to be here and keep me here, that I should spread the message for the Holocaust and for the Emunah to Hashem.
Mayor, talking about survival, we know, of course, Chef Mayor Rappaport is essential. You were a professional chef. You went into that profession because of your experiences in the camps. What was today? You go to a grocery store, there's kosher markets, there's restaurants in plenty. We have so many choices, delicacies. Tell us, what was the daily food like in Buchenwald? What did you eat every day? How did you survive on the minimal amount of food?
In Buchenwald, they can only survive if you knew how to organize yourself. You go, if you have the camp, the barracks, and if you volunteer what you to do any extra works in the barracks, so you get another extra bowl of soup, or not a slice of bread from the head of the rock. That's why nobody can give it to you, because everybody had the same thing. Just if you could, it's always if you volunteer to do extra. And that's what they explained. Maybe the people here already the story when we came from the work back to the camp, and I saw the truck stays with bread there. And I was not thinking, this moment I was not thinking, I just say, I'm hungry, I have to grab a loaf of bread. And I had a can of paint in my hand. And there was the Nazi grabbed me because he saw me that I grabbed from the truck a loaf of bread. While he grabbed me, the can of paint went on him. I said, okay, that's my life is gone. But now I know that I will not survive. So he put me in a place where they peel the potatoes. And he said to the guy, watch him till I come back. He went away to change his clothes. And he was watching me, and I ran away from there. Just now on my hand, I had paint. What shall I do now? How can I get out the paint of my hand? I tried with everything, just you cannot take off the paint. And then they took everybody out from the barracks and the appeal, and they were going and looking for me. Where I am, and how they could identify me, only if they will see my hand that I have the paint, or maybe on my clothes. At the same moment, when it was 3 people away from me, Allah was an alarm. And then everybody started running from the bombardment, the allies, what they were bombarding around the camp, in the camp. And that's how I survived. So that's given me even more so emunah to believe that something's a miracle happening. I knew that I will die now. I knew that. They will find me, they will hang me, or whatever they will do with me. Just that was a miracle. That's the answer. Miracles happen if you have emunah. That's why I asked you ahead of time that you should explain to me what it means to you, emunah.
Okay, may we have time for a few more questions from this precious teen, Suri? If you could stand up.
Hi. What is something you wish you knew going into the Holocaust?
I cannot answer this really with the full thing because I was your age, right? And how I knew what is waiting for us. I didn't know. Nobody told me what is going on because we were the first one what we did was forced labor camp, not concentration camp. So we didn't know, we didn't have yet the pajamas, what they gave us to the Blackie concentration camp. We wore our own clothes with the star in the front and the back, and that's how we would go to work. And that's they were taking us from one place to another, from one place to another. We finished one job, they took us to another job. Just the suffering was almost the same everywhere. Because you didn't get more food or more, that's, they have a link, this is what they get us.
What gave you the strength to keep going during such a tragic time? What gave you the strength to keep going during such a tragic time?
I would say the strength what gives me. I could not say that time that I had such a big understand what it means to now. Just I wanted to live. I said to myself, maybe someday I will get out of here. You have to think always positive, not negative. Just that's a hard thing to do. You have to say what you want of your life, what you have to, the future and everything. Just I did not understand this yet. I did not know. I just want to live.
If you could give one message to the younger generation, what would it be? If you can give one message to the younger generation, what would it be?
My message to the young generation that they should remember and listen and discipline themselves for their future. Because, like I said, the emunah is the future. And if you have emunah, then you can say to yourself, I believe in this, whatever I want to do, I will accomplish it. If it's even hard, but how hard it is, just you have to say it to yourself. You cannot ask somebody to do the things for you or to tell you. You have to experience this in a good way, that you should decide what you want to do with yourself. That's I want to be, that's I want to think, that's what it will be. Because nobody can give you your own character, your own beliefs, your own thing. You have to decide that.
Thank you.
What was the most cruel thing you have ever seen a Nazi do during the Holocaust? What was it?
The most cruel thing what I saw was the burning and the hanging and the brutality. People die in the thousands for hunger. They didn't have, there was skin and bones. That was hard to look at that. That each night, in the morning, you came out and see problems all over everywhere. Putting one on top of the other one, and they're bringing him to the crematorium to burn him. That was the hardest thing to watch it.
How long did you have to stand perfectly still every morning for roll call?
Oh,
How long were you have to stand?
we have to go every morning, 6 o'clock in the morning. We were already on the road to walk to work because we had to go hours when they came to work. We go, and then we have to stay maybe a couple of hours before this till they counted us. In each block had a guy, how we say, a couple of them. And then he had to recount it, and then when the assessment came, he had to give it the report if all the people are there.
I want to take this opportunity, first of all, to thank our 4 fabulous teenagers, youngsters from our youth department for preparing questions, asking questions. From your questions, we heard and we learned. I know, Mayor, for you, and certainly for me and for all of us, one of the greatest highlights of this entire year that happened in this shul happened on Simchas Torah this year. That even though we had no cameras, artificial ways of documenting what took place, we had our God-given cameras, our eyeballs to witness the opportunity to dance with the Sefer Torah that was saved from the Shoah with a survivor, our beloved Chef Mayor Yu. And the greatest scene in the dancing, which went on and on and on, and we sang V'hisha Amda, even though it wasn't Pesach and the Simchas Torah. That the scene of you being surrounded by the youngsters, by the children, the young children of our community, as you were giving out candies and giving out brachas, to be able to see you surrounded by them, hundreds of children and a community that's burgeoning and growing. That was a highlight for me, for us, for you, I know. And so I want to say to all the children, first of all, thank you for being here. To the teens who asked these questions, we appreciate you very, very, very much. And I know that as our program is going to come to its conclusion with the Kel Moli Rachamim, I'm going to ask Chazan Josh Glad to come forward. And Chef Mayor is going to pass out through the generosity of the Shama Foundation these very important placards that, again, read that we shall never forget. I ask everyone to please rise as we say the Kel Moli Rachamim. And everybody is invited, for those of you that can stay, to receive a bracha, a blessing from Chef Mayor. Bestows with his love and his heart, in the memory of those who perished in the Holocaust, the Shoah, be for a blessing. And we gather to remember, to reflect, and we always keep the memory of those who perished on Kiddush Hashem, and all that we do, and all that we say, and all about how we passionately Jews. Chef Mayor, on behalf of us all, first of all, we appreciate you and love you and thank you, cherish you, and we look forward to watching you to continue to have long years and good health and much continued nachas of your family and grandchildren, children, and our community that loves you so much.
I have the last few words. I thank you, the whole congregation, and all my friends and everybody else in the congregation, to be such a nice week, especially they're watching me, they're taking me home, they're driving me home and everything. I really appreciate to everybody. Everybody. I love you all, and Hashem should give you good health and wealth and everything what you want.
Amen. Kel Moli Rachamim.
El Mali Rachamim Shochein Bamiromim Amitzei Minucha Nechona Kanfei Ashdechina V'mahalos Kidoshim Tahorim Kizoar Harakia Mazirim Es nismos hakadoshim v'hatahorim shehu mitu v'shenergu v'nishchatu v'neshfiseru v'neshbitu v'nev'shenechnu Kedushas Hashem Al Yitei HaTzorim HaKarboni V'yinach Shemam V'zichram Ba'avur Shebeli Neter Etein Tzedakah B'yad Hazkarat Nishmoteihem B'gan Lochem HaRachamim B'yishur b'tzorachayim v'nishmoseihem Adonai hu nachal asam ויאנוחו בשלום על משכבותיהם, ונאמר
Thank you, Josh. This concludes our program for this evening. Everyone's invited to come forward to receive blessing bracha from Chef Meir. We have mincha in just a moment that's going to begin next door in the main sanctuary. Thank you all for coming. We should join together for simchas, for good times, and in good health for many years.